Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's FPL Yusuf, and I'm back again with another video. Today, we're going to be going over transfer targets for game week 27. We'll talk about some players who maybe we should be looking to bring in for this coming week, but also we're going to be talking about double game week 28 as well as blank game week 29, all in one. We will review our previous game week and how that went. We'll also be doing our differentials of the week. We'll see how we got on last week with them, and also some to look forward to for this week as well. So, without further ado, let's get right into the video. Okay, welcome back, guys. So as you can see on screen, this is my team that's just finished game week 26. It was an okay game week. You know, we were above the average. I can say maybe a little bit underwhelming for a few circumstances, which we'll kind of come on to. We obviously had some good returns from Foden, Douglas Luiz with a brace, which started the game week off like amazingly. Ollie Watkins came in as one of our free transfers this week. He come back with a 9-pointer. So there were some real upsides to the game. The downside, unfortunately, was a player that I think most of us probably bought in, which was Hwang Hee-chan. I already had Neto from my wild card, and it was just very disappointing to see Wolves only score one against Sheffield United. He was obviously my captain, and I was expecting big things. I know he went down injured in the warm up, but I was expecting maybe a little bit more from Hwang and Neto than what we got. I don't think it's anything to be too concerned about. As the game sort of went on, I kind of got the gathering with Wolves, is that maybe they are just better when they're on the counter, and when they're playing against Sheffield United, most of the time they're going to have the ball. I mean, they dominated most of the possession, so I just think that maybe next week when they're playing against Newcastle, it's a game that's going to suit their style more and suit their players more. So disappointing with that one, but onto the next game. We obviously Arsenal defense had their clean sheet wiped out against Newcastle, despite keeping Newcastle to, I think it was something like 0.18 XGC. So yeah, a few little disappointing things. Some also highs as well. With some returns and some hauls. But that's a recap of game week 26. Let's move on to some of the transfer targets that we'll be looking at for game week 27. All right. So first up is none other than the obvious one, Dominic Solanke. So I currently don't own him. As you can see, I own Tony, Watkins, and Haaland. Now, Solanke is one of those players that if you don't get him this week, you're going to want to have him 100% for next week. He has a double against Luton and Sheffield. And Burnley away, even though it's away, Burnley this week is a very good fixture for him. So for me, it's sort of weighing up, do we move now on him or do we move later? I think it's all going to be team dependent on this one. I think Solanke's got the upside to definitely return in these games, and his price is rising. So the longer you leave it, obviously the higher the price is going to go to try and bring him back in. What I will say is wait and see, if you can wait and see until after Wednesday evening. So obviously Bournemouth play tonight, where they play at time recording it's Tuesday, and they play Leicester in the FA Cup. Now, if Solanke has a game in game week 29, he is a must. He's 100% dead cert must, because he has 3 great fixtures in the next 2 weeks, and then he plays in game week 29. If he doesn't play in game week 29, I still think you're going to want to have him. And if you are going to get him in, I would advise just getting him for this week, because if he's not going to play in 29, you're going to get him out. Rather let him have Burnley, Luton, and Sheffield as opposed to just a double. So Dominic Solanke is my first name on the team sheet. Get him in at whatever cost you have to. I mean, for me, it's a hard one because I don't really want to sell Ivan Toney or Ollie Watkins, because as both obviously play in 29. My thinking behind it is that there is a high chance that I free hit in 29, which means it wouldn't matter. So I could bring Tony back in anyway. So I'm going to just wait and see how the FA Cup games go, and then I will make a decision on that. But yeah, Dominic Solanke, if you've got him, fantastic. If you haven't got him, try and find a way to pick him up. The second player on this list is a double, and it's either one way or the other. So we've got Senesi from Bournemouth again. For the obvious reasons, as I stated with Solanke, he has Burnley this week, and he has Luton and Sheffield at a double. The only problem with him is that he's currently on 8 yellow cards. Now, if he picked up another one against Burnley this week, and then he picked up one in the double, that's him suspended. Now, this time round, because it's 10 yellow cards, it's a 2-game suspension, which is more of an issue. For me personally, Bournemouth players, even if they do blank in 29, are still a hold, because they've got green fixtures and very good fixtures for the next sort of 5, 6, 7 weeks. So really, even if you have to blank in 29 with them and you just hold them, you kind of want someone who's going to be available. It's not someone who has a chance of missing 2 of those games. Now, there is another. It's really hard with Bournemouth because Marco Senesi is like the main defender there. He's the one who's most guaranteed for minutes. He can put up XG here and there, but more so it's the minutes guarantee. Whereas the rest of the Bournemouth defenders, you don't really know. Adam Smith played in fullback. sometimes he gets his 90 minutes. The last few weeks he has got a 90 minutes, but I think it's too much of a risk. So the other guy that I've got pairing with Senesi is, and I don't even know how to pronounce his name. I'm probably going to butcher it. Is like Ilyarazu? Anyway, it's that guy, as you can see on screen, the Ukrainian guy. He's obviously a little bit cheaper than Senesi by 0.1 million. Not that it really makes a difference. I just think that he hasn't got the threat of yellow cards, and that's something that does worry me because when you get to 10 yellow cards and you're picking up a 2-game suspension, as I said, with Bournemouth's fixtures, those are 2 very good fixtures that he's going to be suspended for. So I think there's just something to have to think about before you make the transfer. And just to ask yourself, really, do you see him picking up yellow cards in the near future, I guess? Because, like I said, Bournemouth got good fixtures for sort of 4 or 5 game weeks, and you're going to want the defenders playing because they've got a good chance of keeping a clean sheet. You know, they defended quite well this year. The whole team themselves are playing well, so I think it's just something to consider if you're looking for a defensive transfer this week. Another player, as you can see on screen, to bring in is Heung-Min Son. So Tottenham are another interesting talk. Now we could put Richarlison in this, we could put James Maddison in this. I definitely think you want at least one Tottenham midfielder, if not 2. Now I think Richarlison is still a good pick. So Son is by far for me number 1 pick if you're going for a Tottenham midfielder. I have him in my team. I wildcarded him in a few weeks back, and I just think he's dead cert for 90 minutes. I think sort of towards the end of the game, if Richarlison does come off, I think you'll see Son move up into the number 9 spot. He's on penalties, so I think Son is for me the number 1 choice. Now, the second choice is between Maddison or Richarlison. Obviously, Richarlison's a little bit cheaper and is playing up front, which I think gives him the edge over Maddison just. However, I think Maddison has probably got the minutes to his game more so than Richarlison. But I still think Richarlison's a good pick, and he's going to be someone that I want to have for game week 29. Spurs have got very good fixtures coming up, and Richarlison has been in good form. I know he blanked in this previous game, obviously he didn't play this week, but I think Richarlison up front will still do damage for Spurs. I still think it's a good spot to have with just how attacking Spurs are. I think owning 2 out of the 3 midfielders is very important. You could look at going somewhere else in the defence. I don't think Pedro Porro is going to be back anytime soon, or at least not for 29. Udogie may have more of a chance. The one I'm looking at for the defence is Van de Ven. He's coming in at 4.4 million. He is an absolute giant. So if Maddison keeps putting those corners in and those set pieces, there is a very good chance that he's going to get at the end of some of them. And he's very good for bonus points as well. So I think with Spurs, Son is number 1. For me, I'd put Richarlison over Maddison, and then my third choice would be Mickey van der Ven. So let's get on to differentials of the week right now. So just a quick look back at last week. Obviously, we had Hwang and Neto both down. Unfortunately, both blanked, so it wasn't a great pick on that. Adingra also blanked, so we're not off to a great start. But we did pick Mateta from Crystal Palace, who did end up getting on the score sheet from a penalty. So we got one of them right. So if you did take the advice and you picked him up, well done to you. 4.9 million is a cheap striker, not too bad. On to this week though. So who are the differentials of this week? So I think on the Crystal Palace theme, let's just carry on with it. I have got their new centre-back in Munoz. Munoz? I probably butchered that name as well. He, at the time of recording, is currently 0.1% owned. Now, bearing in mind, Crystal Palace have got a tricky game this week against Spurs, and I don't expect them to keep a clean sheet. However, they have got very good fixtures after. Now, if you watched my wildcard draft last week, I actually put Sam Johnson down in goal. And the reason why I put him in there was because Crystal Palace, I could see them getting clean sheets over the next couple of weeks. Now, Munoz has just finished playing his game. Obviously, they won 3-0 against Burnley. Did come away with a bonus point as well from that game. So at 0.1% owned, I think at 4.5 million, I don't think you can really go wrong with that, to be fair. The next differential, and this is someone that I can't even begin to tell you how tempted I am to bring in. It's so hard because I think there's so many midfielders at the moment, but it is Kai Havertz. Now, I know that sounds crazy because Havertz is a little bit of a meme at times. He has been fantastic for Arsenal recently, and Arsenal themselves have just been scoring goals. I think Havertz, the last 2 games, a 12-pointer, a 14-pointer. He has been exceptionally good. He's currently 1.8% owned, so it's literally nothing. Like the ownership is so low. My only worry for him is that I don't think he'll really play. It's not that he won't play 90 minutes. I think he's just got more of a chance of coming off than others do. However, he has returned in the last 2, and he's returned big. And Arsenal are about to take on Sheffield United, which, by all accounts, is looking like a 4, 5, 6, maybe even more. So yeah, I think Havertz is definitely a decent shout. Like I said, it's a little bit more tricky to get to him. One, because there's a high chance that he blanks in 29, so you'll be bringing him in for this week against Sheffield, and then I think Arsenal play Brentford next week. But the question is will the upside be worth it? Me personally, I think you definitely could get something out of it with the way Arsenal play and the rate that they're scoring. But also the two defences in question next, Sheffield United, who are the worst in the league, and Brentford, who have just conceded 4 to West Ham. I think there's a chance that Arsenal could do the same, 3, 4, 5 against both of them. So Havertz is definitely one to keep your eye on, but he's one that's really tempting me at the moment. And finally, my last differential of the week is none other than Mohamed Kudus from West Ham. West Ham have found their form again. Well, I say that, it's been one game. Jarrod Bowen coming last night with a hat-trick. Kudus did manage to pick up an assist in that game. Now that Paqueta's back, they just look like such a better team. And I think that was always going to be the case with West Ham. West Ham obviously have the advantage, and Kudus does as well, playing in game week 29. So it's not a bad choice if you want to bring him in. He's currently 6 point something million, so he's fairly cheap. As I said, he has a game in 29. And after that, his fixtures in and around that are really good as well. There are a lot of greens in there. And Kudus is one of the players that can just explode. So I think he's definitely worth having a look at it, or at least keeping an open mind to about him. But if I had to order them and rank them in order, for me, Havertz is going number 1. I'd put Kudus 2 and Munoz 3, but I think it's very close between Kudus and Munoz. I really like him, actually, Munoz. And as I said, like, he comes off the back of a Crystal Palace clean sheet on the weekend against Burnley, picked up a bonus point. So I think there's something to be said, especially at 4.5 million. You know, if you're looking to get rid of Trippier, or maybe you've got like a Van Dijk, a Robertson, a Trent, and you're looking to downgrade and free up money, it's definitely not the worst shout in the world. Okay, so as you guys can see on screen, this is my team lining up for game week 27. I have already made one free transfer, and I made it Sunday. And I don't usually do this, but I got rid of Phil Foden for Bukayo Saka. Saka is one of those players that I just need to have in my team right now. He is just so essential. And with Arsenal about to go up against Sheffield United, he becomes that much more essential. So I have made one transfer already. I've got rid of Phil Foden, and I have got in Bukayo Saka. I am contemplating a -4. I'm going to keep an eye on what the press conferences say about Ben Mee, because he did come off after 60 minutes, but also Pau Torres as well. So I could be forced into making a defensive transfer. Now, whether I would do that this week or whether I would just try and put someone out in there, I'd probably wait. Because like I said, Munoz is my main target, and he's obviously playing Spurs this week, so I don't really want to get him in for this game week. So I'd probably just try and hold off on that and just wait till next week. But like I said earlier, my differentials, Havertz is really tempting me. And the fact that I've got both Hwang and Neto, I think I could probably end up losing one of them. It would probably more likely be Neto, just because Hwang, I think, has got more goal threat. But yeah, we're going to have to wait and see on that. I'm going to have to think about it, because that, again, would be from minus, and I'm not really sure whether that's worth it or not, because we've got other players who are starting. You know, Heung-min Son's playing against Crystal Palace this week for me. Saka's playing against Sheffield United. So I don't really know how I would shoehorn him in anyway. But yeah, it's just a thought anyway. So as of right now, just one transfer made, which is Bukayo Saka has come in and Phil Foden's gone out. We are contemplating a defensive change with either Ben Mee or Pau Torres, depending on their fitness. There is an outside chance of, as I said, Neto moving to Kai Havertz. But other than that, it's just kind of waiting to see what happens on Wednesday. And like after Wednesday's finish, we'll know the next round of the FA Cup results, and we'll also know who plays in blank game week 29 as well. Okay, so that is the end of the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have enjoyed it, please drop it a like and subscribe down below. I will be back probably towards the end of this week now, where we'll just discuss about what happens with the FA Cup results, which we'll find out tomorrow night. So we'll discuss about what that means for game week 29. We'll do a final selection team preview. I might try and get a game week 27 wildcard draft up maybe Thursday. So we know the results from the FA Cup. We know who's going to play in 29, which I think would be a good one. Obviously, I did a wildcard draft last week, but that was without knowing the actual fixtures. But this week we will know. So if I can, I will try and get a game week 27 draft up for you guys. But if not, then there will definitely be a final selection video and a final thoughts video at the end of the week. So like I said, if you have enjoyed it, please drop it a like down below and subscribe, and I will catch you guys next time. Goodbye.